We're making our falafel, and this is actually my sister-in-law's recipe from Egypt. And in Egypt, they use fava beans. Now, on Cyprus, they tend to use fava beans as well. In Israel, though, they use chickpeas primarily. But we're going to be doing it the Cypriot way, so we're using the fava beans, and we're putting in our za'atar seasoning that we made, okay? So this is going to have a nice flavor to it. I've already soaked the fava beans, and this is what they look like. They soaked in hot water for 3 hours, so they've moistened up. They've probably doubled in size, and these are ready to go. Now, if you don't have time to do all of this, you can actually buy falafel mix. And this is already prepared. It's very easy. All you do is add water, let it sit, and then fry them. So if you don't have time, this is a quick and easy version out of how to make it. I got this on sale for $2.29 in the grocery store, so that's not that expensive, but normally it's $4 something, but I got it on sale for $2.29. So always look out for things on sale. This is a boxed product, so the expiration date is in May 5th, 2023. So this can sit on your shelf for quite a while. That's why shop smart. If you see something on sale, buy it when it's on sale. I saved over $2 because I bought it on sale. So just remember that. Now, we want to make ours though from scratch. So we have already rehydrated our dried beans, and now we are going to prepare all of our aromatics, our onion. Now, in my recipe, I called for a stalk of leek. Unfortunately, Key Food had no leeks, no fresh leeks in the produce section, so I had to figure it out. What am I going to substitute for the leeks? Well, leeks are an allium. Alliums are the family of onion, garlic, leek, scallion, chive. So what can I substitute? I've already got garlic and I've already got onion in it. So I figured, why not substitute scallion? Okay, so I want you guys to know these things so that way should you encounter the similar problem, you can figure out what you can substitute. Now, if you're making leek soup, you cannot substitute scallions for leek soup. That you would have to wait another day and go back and get the leeks. But in this recipe, it's okay to substitute the scallion for the leek. All right, so we've got our ground cumin, parsley flakes, salt, the baking powder. Now, why are we using baking powder in it? This is normally what we use for cakes. This is a leavening agent. I always tell you guys, this is double acting. It rises with two reactions, heat and introduction to an acid, or a liquid. And the double action makes the gases release and it'll puff it up. Now, why is this in here? Well, because it helps make the falafel, see this picture right here, the little falafels? It makes them airy and lighter. Okay, it puffs it up a little bit so it's not like a solid rock, okay? It gives it a little more delicate texture. I've got my measuring spoons ready. I've got my cutting board, and I forgot my non-slip mat. See, I always check. All right, so before I start cutting, I'm gonna put my non-slip mat underneath there, and I'm gonna prepare the onions, the garlic, and all these things. And today we are making this dish in this. This is our Cuisinart Cuisinart food processor. And this is the blade attachment. It's a Black & Decker. And we're gonna put the ingredients in here and use this to chop everything up very fine. So let me get everything prepared and I'll come back and show you how to do it. All right, in the bowl of this food processor fitted with the blade attachment, add the cumin, salt, parsley flakes, and everything else. Okay, so how much cumin do we need? A half teaspoon, half heaping teaspoon. So this is our half teaspoon. And luckily I can fit it right in the jar. Get a heaping. Heaping means more. There you go. Heaping, half teaspoon of cumin. We're gonna get a half teaspoon of salt. And I love kosher salt in my culinary food. So I always use kosher salt. Now this is a quarter teaspoon measuring spoon. Quarter teaspoon measuring spoon. So if we need a half, we need to do it twice, okay? 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 1/2. All right, so there we go. We have that added in. Always clean as you go, put things away. Then we're gonna add a 1/2 teaspoon of parsley flakes. These are dried parsley flakes. 1/2 teaspoon. And then we can start adding all of these other ingredients. Okay, so we are going to add in our onions. Now, because we're using the food processor, I don't need to chop these up and waste time. I just quartered them, okay? Actually, I cut them into eighths, so there we go. Here's our garlic. I've already smashed those open and took off the skin. Remember, we smash it open to release the flavor of the oils inside the garlic. Here is our 1 scallion. Cut that in half. All right, and just because this food processor is a little bit small, I'm going to process a little bit of this, and then we're going to add the rest. In the restaurant, we have a big one that's called a Robo-Crew, and you can fit a lot more in that. So, we've got that on. Yikes. Let's put it on the lid, lock it into place. We have to put this in as well and lock that into place before it will turn on. It's not going to turn on, hopefully, unless it's on. So we're going to pulse it. See right here? Pulse. We're going to pulse it. That should turn the blade on and off. So it's not that. So we don't really want to mush paste. We do want to chop up all those onions and the scallions. So I'm going to do that a couple more times, and then I'm going to add all of our aromatics. Now I'm going to add in our cilantro. And again, I just chopped this up in half, basically. I took off the long parts of the stems, and I saved the stems for my stock. I'm going to make some chicken stock, and I saved those. And here's the dill. Again, I removed the long part of the stems, and I just cut this in half. And we're going to pulse this again because it's now full. If you don't have one of these types of blenders, food processors, sorry, you can use a blender instead. So if you don't have a food processor, please use a blender. So again, I'm going to pulse this. Okay, I've pulsed it a couple times. We're beginning to get this bright green color. Now I'm going to add the parsley, and we got to mix all of that in, get it much more chopped, finely chopped, and then we will add in the fava beans and then the baking powder. So this is going to take a while. I'm going to have to keep pulsing it and scraping down with our rubber spatula. So here's my rubber spatula. I'm going to scrape it down along the sides and then keep pulsing it until this looks much more chopped up. So that's going to take quite a few minutes, so just come back in a minute. All right, here's our za'atar seasoning. I'm going to add that, and I'm going to add in our baking powder as well, so I don't forget. It's taking a while to chop up all these greens, and so I'm going to try by putting the, here we go, teaspoon baking powder. I'm going to try to add the fava beans through the top of the funnel, and hopefully that'll help this start stirring it around and pulsing it a lot easier. So I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so how am I going to do that? So you see this? That locks into place, but also you can remove it, and then this way you can add food into the machine while it's running. So I'm going to press low. The machine's been running for a while, so you can see how beautiful green this is. It's this bright green color from all those aromatics, and it smells amazing. All those fresh herbs, dill, parsley, cilantro. You could even put mint in here if you wanted. Mint is a great herb as well. Now, unfortunately, there's still a couple of these fava beans that haven't been cut down to smaller pieces. So I'm gonna scrape down the sides with my rubber spatula and try to get the machine to finish chopping all of those up into tiny, tiny, tiny little pieces. We're working on our falafel, and this is our falafel mixture. All right, look at, I had it in the food processor. I kept pulsing it and then scraping down the sides with the spatula and continued running it. So actually it did take quite a while. It didn't just instantly come like this. It took maybe 15 minutes actually of pulsing it. So that's what the texture should look like when you're finished. And now what we want to do, sorry, what we want to do is we're going to bake them. Falafel a lot of times is fried, and that adds a lot of oil to your diet, and that's not the healthiest. So we want to have a healthy diet, low fat, and also we're going to use a healthy fat, our olive oil. So actually up here in the kitchen, let's grab the olive oil, and we're going to just pour the olive oil on our baking dish. And I have the oven at 375, so that's gonna preheat. And I'm gonna drizzle some olive oil on and then just drag it around, make sure it's covering the whole pan. I can also use a brush and brush this across to make sure I get it completely covered. So we want to get the whole, we don't want to use too much oil, but we do want to cover the whole pan with the oil. All right, and olive oil is a healthy oil for you. It's part of the Mediterranean diet. That is what makes it so healthy. And so we just want to spread this around, make sure it's completely covering our sheet pan. And so now what we have, I have an ice cream scoop, and this is the purple handled scoop, so it's a nice small size. We use this a lot of the time for scooping the cookie dough. So just to remind you guys, I'm gonna scoop this size portion, put it directly on the sheet pan, all right, and then with my fingers, I'm just gonna plot that down a little bit. So it's a little flat, it's not shaped like a mountain. So I'm gonna do quite a few of these, and then I'm gonna bake them in the 375-degree oven about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'm gonna rotate all of these, turn them over onto the other side, and continue baking them until they have cooked all the way. And this is an alternative to the frying. All right, they've been in the oven for 12 minutes, and I'm gonna take them out and flip them over. You can see they've got some great color on them. I'm gonna use this metal spatula or hamburger flipper to flip them over. Oh, look at that color, great. We've got our oven on 375. I'll flip all of these over and then put it back into the oven and finish baking them. And this will be fantastic. I've never made baked falafel before, but I've always wanted to do it because I like the idea that it's much healthier for you. I also don't like frying a lot of stuff in the kitchen at home. Okay, they're out of the oven. And look at this, how beautiful, golden brown. It's crispy because of the olive oil that I placed on here. And because we didn't fry it, it's much healthier. And this looks great. So all we need now is some pita bread, some salad, and maybe a little tahini sauce or some hummus in it. The hummus we made would be great. And I'll have a wonderful sandwich. So These are wonderful to make, and I hope you enjoyed learning how to make falafel. Take care, everybody.